Good morning, dear students. In today's video, we shall be studying the second part of your geography lesson number 16, moisture in the air. As I already told you about the meaning of this moisture, it means the presence of water vapor in the air. In our previous video, we already discussed about the two processes which are involved in the system of water cycle, that's about evaporation and condensation. In this chapter, we shall be studying, or we shall try to understand the third process, that is precipitation. It is the process by which condensed water vapor falls on the earth. In evaporation we got water gets evaporated and goes into the sky. In condensation we have got this water vapor, it again changes into droplets of water and cling with the dust particles. Now through the process of precipitation, that condensed water vapor generally falls on the earth in the form of different forms like rainfall, snowfall, etc. It is of three types. We can say precipitation can be divided into three types. Number one is rain, everybody you have heard. Second one is snowfall, this also you have heard, I hope. And the third one is hail. Before explaining these three, let me conclude the process of precipitation as well as water cycle. See, we got about the process of evaporation, we discussed about the process of condensation. In evaporation, water it changes into vapor. In condensation, this vapor it changes into water and it clings with the dust particles present in the atmosphere. Now through the process of precipitation, the water which is there in the atmosphere, it generally comes down again on the earth's surface. The process through which the condensed water vapor falls on the earth's surface is known as precipitation. It may come on the earth's surface because of rainfall, it may come on the earth's surface because of snowfall, or even it comes on the earth's surface in the form of hails. Now, as I already told you in your previous video, that the process of water cycle, it involves three processes: evaporation, condensation and precipitation. This whole system is generally known as the system of water cycle. Means through the water cycle, the water from the earth's surface it will go into the sky. Through the process of condensation, this water vapor will be changed into again water, and through the process of precipitation, this water again will come into the earth's surface, and this process continues for 24 hours through the process of water cycle. And because of this only, the amount of water vapor on the earth's surface it neither increases nor decreases. I hope it is clear what is the meaning of water cycle. Now we are going to discuss about the different types of precipitation. As I told you, precipitation is of three types. One is rain, one is snowfall, another one is hail. Let's study one by one. First of all, rain. When the cloud rises up, the small droplets of water becomes colder and they join together to form bigger drops. These drops fall through the air on the ground as rain. Alright, so this is very simple meaning of rain. Let me show you. See, this is the earth's surface. I am not going to the process of evaporation. These are the clouds and here water droplets are present. What it happens when these clouds it generally goes up with a decrease in temperature, the water droplets they join together and they make bigger droplets of water. And when these bigger drops are made, it becomes impossible, or it becomes difficult for the small dust particles to hold them, and that's why it comes down on the earth's surface in the form of rainfall. That's the simple meaning of rain. I hope you have understood. Even you can see it is written here. When the cloud rises up, the small droplets of water it becomes colder and they join together, and when these small droplets will be joined together, they will form bigger drops, and it will be difficult for the dust particles to hold these bigger drops, and that's why these bigger drops they fall through the air on the ground as rain. Remember one thing, for rainfall three conditions must be there. three conditions are necessary for the formation of rain. First one is evaporation, because if evaporation is not there, the water will not get evaporated, and in the absence of evaporated water there will be no droplets of water in the sky, and that's why evaporation is must. Then comes condensation. Because of condensation only, the water vapor in the atmosphere, it changes into droplets of water, and that's why condensation also must be present. And the last one is dust particles. These dust particles, they generally hold the smaller droplets, and when these droplets join together, it becomes bigger, and then they come on the earth's surface in the form of rainfall. So these three conditions are essential for rainfall. I hope it is clear about rain. The second type of precipitation is about snowfall. Everybody is well known about snowfall because we live in a polar region. When the temperature of the air reaches below the freezing point, what is the freezing point? It is 0 degree Celsius, and the boiling point is 100 degree Celsius. When the temperature of the air it goes below 0 degree Celsius, the water vapor in the air condenses into crystals and later on into flakes of snow, and falls on the earth in the form of snowfall. I think you have seen in the TV snowfall, or also you have experienced it if you have gone to Tawang, Bomdila, or some other colder regions. There what happens, this is the earth's surface, these are the clouds. Here these condensed water vapors are there. When this condensed water vapor will go below the 0 degree Celsius temperature, they will form small pieces of ice flakes, and these ice flakes will be coming down on the earth's surface in the form of snowfall. See, the difference is between rain and snowfall is only because of one thing. What is that? It is temperature. In rainfall, the temperature will be above 0 degree Celsius. It will be above 0 degree Celsius, but for snowfall, the temperature must be below 0 degree Celsius. I hope it is clear about snowfall. The third type of precipitation is hailstones. I hope you have seen also and you have heard the word before. Sometimes the raindrops reach colder regions where the temperature is below the freezing point. In that case, the raindrops get frozen, but a strong upward air current throws them back. Since the weight of these frozen drops is more, so they fall on the earth in the form of hailstones. What is the meaning of this? Sometimes the raindrops reach colder regions. While rains, sometimes a drop of rainfall, it reaches colder region where the temperature is below 0 degree Celsius. And when they reach there, the temperature is below freezing point. In that case, what happens? The raindrops, it get frozen. But because of one strong upward air current, these frozen pieces will be thrown back into the atmosphere. But since the weight of ice is more than water, because of that, these frozen drops are thrown back on the earth's surface in the form of hailstones. Let me show you the figure. This is the earth's surface. Here are the clouds, droplets of water. Just think it is raining. And while raining, at this level of atmosphere, the temperature is more than 0 degree Celsius. But let's say here the temperature is below 0 degree Celsius, let's say minus 5 degree Celsius. When these drops of water will reach at this level, automatically because of the temperature, these drops of water will be changed into ice pieces, and because of upward air current, these ice pieces will be again taken back into the atmosphere, but it will be difficult for the dust particles to hold it, and that's the reason why it generally comes down on the earth's surface in the form of hailstone. And that's why I think you have seen during when the hails fall on the earth, rainfall, it is not essential. Even during the winter season, we can experience hailstorms which generally cause a lot of damages. So I hope you have understood about the different types of precipitation, about rain, about snowfall, as well as about hail. Well, now we are going to study the last part of this video as well as this chapter. We are going to study about underground water. Water, it is also stored under the ground, and that water which is stored under the ground is known as underground water, and it is very important. The water stored below the surface of the earth is called underground water. such water is soaked by the ground when the rain falls. If we will consider this is the earth's surface, and when the rain falls, the soil generally absorbs this water and it is stored below the ground, which is known as underground water. It is very important. Why it is important? See, I have tried to show you few points here. Some of its importance are: first one, where surface water is not freely available. Water, which is a very essential thing for our life, it is not equally available in all the places. In some places where the surface water is not available, in those areas we can dig the soil and we can take the underground water, and it can be used for the different domestic uses. So this underground water, it can be tapped and we can satisfy our different domestic needs like cooking, washing, bathing. These all can be done with the help of the underground water. The second importance, with the help of wells and tube wells, he can irrigate his crop fields. Not only this underground water can be used for satisfying our domestic needs, even it can be used in our crop fields. We can dig the wells or tube wells, we can bore the tube wells, and with the help of pipes, if we will connect the pipes with the tube wells or the wells, we can irrigate the water, or we can take the water into our crop fields and we can cultivate different types of crops. That's the second importance of underground water. The third importance is given here. This water can be utilized in various industries like steel, paper, etc. Industries, the different industries, whatever industry be it, it needs lot of water, and they can also dig the soil and they can take out the underground water with the help of pump and can be used in the industries. The fourth one is here. Underground water is not subject to evaporation. While explaining about the process of evaporation, I told you that the water from the water bodies generally gets evaporated because it is not covered. But underground water, it is covered with layer of soil, so that water will not be evaporated, and that's why it can be accumulated, it can be collected, and it can be used for a long time. The last one is here. Underground water sustains the growth of vegetation. Plants, it's very important. From plants we get oxygen, as well as we get different types of food, medicine, etc. from the different plants or trees, and this vegetation or the deep rooted plants or the deep rooted trees, they generally get water from this underground water. So you can say underground water sustains the growth of vegetation on the land and gives life to the deep rooted trees. So that's about the importance of underground water. Now the chapter is completed. In this chapter we have discussed about moisture in the air, we have studied about water cycle, we discussed about evaporation, condensation, precipitation. We also got about the different types of condensation as well as precipitation. We discussed about the differences between evaporation and condensation, and also we have got about underground water and its importance. You need to go through both the videos, you need to understand the points, and you need to read the chapter as well. After reading the chapter, if you feel any difficulty to understand any topic or any point, you please let me know. I shall try my level best to clear it. Thank you very much.